Okay. What did he say?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to have all of you with us. And if we could get started just a moment or two early, we've got a number of things to do today and a number of things that have been added to the agenda that we'll get done. Thank you all for being here. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving and had plenty to eat, and hope you've enjoyed today's lunch also. Let's start by saying today is a great day to be a Kiwanian. Children need Kiwanis, and Kiwanis needs you. And thank you for being with us for that. Let's start with our defining statement, and it's time to stand if you don't mind. Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world, one child and one community at a time. Our Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Does anybody want to lead the singing today since Clay's not here? I'll pass on that. I appreciate it, and that'll be for your benefit, not anybody else's, okay? If not, we're just going to pass on the song today. Thank you so much. Our Invocation by Alan Fromm, please.
I figure my prayer today, all of us could use a little of this, and it came out of the Jewish prayer book, A Prayer for Peace. May we see the day when war and bloodshed cease, when a great peace will embrace the whole world. The nation will not threaten nation, and the human family will not again know war. For all who live on earth shall realize we have not come into being to hate or to destroy. We have come into being to praise, to labor, and to love. Compassionate God, bless the leaders of all nations with power of compassion. Fulfill the promise conveyed in the scripture. I will bring peace to the land, and you shall lie down, and no one shall terrify you. I will rid the land of vicious beasts, and it shall not be ravaged by war. Let justice and righteousness flow like a mighty stream. Let God's peace fill the earth as the waters fill the sea, and let us say amen. And then I'm going to say the prayer, and I've said this before, the Jews say before every meal. In Hebrew, it's the prayer Jesus said before every meal. Interestingly, at that period of time, the people in that part of the world spoke Aramaic, but the Jews prayed in Hebrew. So I always thought that was kind of interesting. But Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Burton. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Forgot it. All right. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who bringeth forth food from the earth. Amen.
Alan, thank you so much. And we thought it was appropriate that Alan, being a member of the Jewish faith, had the prayer today, since our speaker, the rabbi, is going to speak to us and talk to us hopefully a little bit about Hanukkah and some things that we need to know. Guest, we have a number of guests here today. Stuart Phoenix, you have a guest.
Second visit, so we're glad to have my partner. He's retired as of November.
Well, we're glad to have you and hope you'll be here for a third visit, and you look too young to retire, okay? Jim Walbrink has a visitor.
It's my pleasure to introduce you to Paul Schrader. Paul and I belong to the same alumni association from the University of Missouri, and M-I-Z, Z-O-U. And he's been in Raleigh now about 6 years. He was a chemical engineer, been with a number of companies around the country. He has 2 kids, and he moved in to be close to his daughter and his grandchildren. Lives in North Hills, and we welcome Paul to our group.
Paul, we appreciate you being with us. We hope you'll become a regular visitor as a member, not a visitor, as a member. Thank you so much. And speaking of members, we have one new member who's with us today that I got her check just a minute ago, and I'd like for Allison Gillis to stand up. She's a new member. Allison, oh, there she is. Great. Allison, we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. We'll get you sworn in soon, okay? Membership welfare. I just wanted to mention one thing that occurred to me over the holidays, and that is the fact that in this third or fourth quarter now of this year, we have lost probably as many or more members than we've lost any other time during the year due to death. Bob Brooks, Harley Mudge, and we just had the funeral for Mike Dodd. And I understand from someone who was at Mike's funeral during the holidays, and I regret I couldn't be there, I was out of town, but I understand there were between 20 and 25 Kiwanians that were there and sat together that day. And that is what this club is all about, is coming together for the families of Kiwanians when Kiwanis family needs folks. So thank you. Thank you for making Mike's service great. And another person that we lost over the holidays was somebody who was a good friend to Kiwanis, Ralph Capps. He was head of the Boys and Girls Club of Wake County. We worked with him every year on the Christmas party that's coming up, and you'll hear just a little bit more about it. But that was sudden, unexpected, and we hope you'll keep the Capps family in your thoughts and prayers. In other membership welfare items, Don Sushi is not with us today. He is recovering from pneumonia. He's at Hillcrest, and I hope all of you will remember Don in your prayers. He is a faithful member who has been here in his wheelchair week after week after week, and we appreciate that, and we miss him dearly. Keep him in your prayers. Birthdays. Let me mention some birthdays since we missed last week for a holiday. On the 23rd, Lynn Gensler. On the 24th, Phil Kirk. The 28th, Keith Capps. On the 2nd of December, John Collar. Art Raymond, your birthday's coming up in just a few days on the 3rd. And then Roger Smith on the 3rd. Frank Manford. Frank, happy birthday. And then Dash Probst on the same day on the 6th. Happy birthday to all those Kiwanians, and have a great year. We have a membership drive that is going on at this time, and Robert, do you have anything to report on that? Robert Cooper is heading up this membership drive, giving a $250 gift certificate to the person that brings in the most members.
We have a couple of members who have brought in one member, me, and others. And we have somebody that brought in 2 members.
That's not you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. But you've still got time to get another one. And then there's Meredith.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, who'd you think I was talking about? The other person that had 2 members. And I'm going to let her talk in a minute when she introduces a new member for us. Our board meeting will be on Tuesday the 19th at John Collar's office. It's going to be important that all board members attend that meeting either by Zoom or in person. We have a number of important things to talk about. Nick Fountain had a very important group of people that met. It was people to work on membership and finances and to give us some ideas, and we got a whole group of ideas from them. We're going to take some of those recommendations to the board this time, and we'll be taking other recommendations as we continue to meet. In the spirit of the holiday season, the Kiwanis Club of Raleigh, which it's done for 30 years, is going to ring the bell for the Salvation Army tomorrow, rain or shine. I'll be right there with you, getting wet or getting dry, one way or the other. But we'll be at the Walmart on Glenwood Avenue. If anybody would like to do that, please feel free to see Cricket Harold. There's Cricket over there. See Cricket after the meeting if you can sign up for it. Our club will also host the annual Boys and Girls Club Christmas party, and that's going to be on December the 14th. And that is always a major event for us. If you've not been there, you just don't know how many kids we make happy that day. It's really, really nice. There is a sign-up sheet on your table. If you would please use that to sign up, if you can help out on the 14th. It's not heavy work. It's just helping put some ketchup on hot dogs and handing out plates and cups and just seeing some happy kids get Christmas gifts. So that's the 14th of December. And a Change the Future campaign, you see the jar over there. It's going to be all during the holidays for you to give. At this time of year, in the Christmas spirit, the holiday spirit, the Hanukkah spirit of helping other people, this is an opportunity to help people by putting your loose change or even a check in that jar over there. We need some contributions. And I've mentioned the importance of this season of doing things, and one member asked that I keep his name confidential, but I received a check to take to a family in need this morning from one of our members. And folks, it was a very substantial check, and we appreciate that very much. And we'll appreciate what you do if you pick a family, or if you pick a charity, or if you pick someone through your church from the Angel Tree or whatever it might be. Help others at this time of the year. This is a time to help build and help ensure the growth of one community and one child at a time. Next week is a special meeting. We won't have a catered lunch. We will have a box lunch that will be brought in, and the program is going to be John Collar talking about our financial needs and our financial position that we're in and what we plan to do toward that. Now, for a happy part of the program, introduction of a new member. Meredith, will you come up and bring our new member that's going to be initiated today? Our new member is Kim Blackwell, who was sponsored by Meredith, and we're glad that Kim is going to be here with us. And Meredith, introduce her, please.
I have known Kim for 5 or 6 years, I don't know. She's actually married to my cousin of sorts, my uncle, second marriage. So basically what I'm saying is I consider her to be my family. And it's cool because she's pretty great. She lives in Wake Forest with her partner Jason and their kids Jamie and Aiden. And she is a very, very successful, because I've worked with her a couple of times, mortgage broker with the Fairway Mortgage Group. So if you're looking to get pre-approved, call her. And I just think she'll be a great addition. So we're excited to have her.
Kim, it is great to have you. The vision of Kiwanis is to be a positive influence on the community and on people in that community. Kim, having indicated a desire to be an active member in our club, you've gone through the orientation session. Do you agree to embrace the visions of our club and work hard to be a good Kiwani?
Yes.
Well, we're glad to have you. Here is your button. You're no longer a guest, you are a member. We welcome you to this global organization of improving the world, one child and one community at a time. Let's give her another round of applause. Thank you, Kim. I'm going to call on Alan Fromm again to introduce our speaker today.
Well, it's my pleasure and honor to introduce my rabbi and Burton Horowitz's rabbi. And I don't know if we have any others in here or not, but if you do, raise your hand. Don't see any, so you got two congregates here. Rabbi Solomon, Eric Solomon, has served as a rabbi of Beth Meyer Synagogue in Raleigh since 2005. He's the founding co-chair of the North Carolina Jewish Clergy Association and also serves as a commissioner on the City of Raleigh Human Relations Commission. He is a Goodmon Fellow, having successfully completed the Leadership Triangle Regional Leaders Program, and holds the title of Senior Rabbinic Fellow at the Shalom Hartman Institute in Jerusalem. Rabbi Solomon loves playing tennis and is an avid runner, a very, very avid runner, and he is married to a wonderful, wonderful lady who's also a rabbi, Jennifer Solomon, and who is very active in our synagogue. And they are the proud parents of 3 children, and I'll end it by saying he is a Maryland Terp.
Thank you, Alan. I'll use this in a second here. You know, it's funny you say I'm into running. Yeah, running my mouth, I think you're saying, Alan. I am so honored to be here. This is actually the second time I've had the privilege of speaking here in the Kiwanis Club, actually specifically at this church from this beautiful location. And last time I came, I had less gray hair, so if you don't remember me, it's okay. I feel so honored to be in front of you, honored to be in front of this esteemed group that's committed to service and community, and really in front of, I'm not just saying this, truly 2 of the absolute wisdom teachers, elders of our synagogue and the Jewish community, really of North Carolina and perhaps also Union, South Carolina as well. That's Alan's original roots. They are part of the core of our congregation, which is over 500 households. We touch about 1,500 people, but there's a core 5% who are truly, truly Southern Jews. And these are Alan and Burton, amongst others, who really are the salt of the earth, do beautiful actions of love, and are why me and my family, when we came here 19 years ago, we said, we are here, please God, for life. We love it because of them, and we thank you so much. How about a round of applause for Alan and Burton for everything they do? We're so grateful to you. So thank you for inviting me. What I'd like to do, I understand I have about maybe 15 minutes or so, you know, get ready. Rabbi says that's just taking a breath for a rabbi, okay? I'm going to talk about Hanukkah. This is called the Hanukkah menorah, or Chanukiah, and I'll use it as maybe a prop at the end of my spiel here. I'm going to tell you about the history of the Hanukkah holiday, a little bit of the spiritual meaning of the Hanukkah holiday. I'm also going to touch on the fact that yes. Oh, here we go. If the bell moves away, will something happen? Okay, all right. There we go. There's a nice photo op there. Okay, for the news and disturber, as they say. Look good. All right. So I will talk about the Hanukkah holiday in not only its history, but its meaning to the Jewish community. I'm going to talk about the current climate in the Jewish community, sadly, with recent rise in anti-Semitism. I'll tell you a bit about that. Then I'm going to talk about the fact that I just returned less than 2 weeks ago from Israel, from the southern part of Israel, on the edge of Gaza. In fact, I stood 1 kilometer from the edge. My congregation, I'm honored to say, sent me and a group of about 15 rabbis from across the country to visit and show solidarity and support, specifically on one particular community called a kibbutz, where there was a massacre. I'm sad to say. I'll tell you a little bit about that. And then we'll wrap up at the end with a little bit about North Carolina love and how it connects us here in North Carolina. So let's start. There are 8 nights of Hanukkah. It starts next Thursday night. And the truth is, there's a story behind it. Don't check if this is written in the kind of, if the history books of, proof. This is a myth. Myth doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's a sacred myth. It's a story that we pass from generation to generation. Thank God my great-great-great-grandparents passed it on to theirs, et cetera, down to me, to my kids, to my congregants. We tell it to this very day. What happened? 2,000 years ago, a little bit actually, like 2,100 years ago, in the land of Israel, which is where my people originated, as I know many of you are very familiar, there was a group who came in, among many groups in Jewish history, to dominate the land. They were called technically the Seleucids, Seleucid, you can Google it up, but essentially it was a branch of the Greek Empire. And they wanted to, like many empires, to dominate and take over the land of Israel. And when they did so, my people became occupied, was conquered, And in fact, in our holiest place in Jerusalem, has anyone here actually here been to Jerusalem? Aside from my congregants, I know. You know what remains the holiest part of Jerusalem, the Temple Mount? There's what's called the Western Wall, so called the Wailing Wall. It's a place we pray for and cry so much. That it remains of our holy temple. And in that place, the Greeks went and said they eliminated our ability to practice prayer. They eliminated our ability to practice our holidays, our religion, the Sabbath, everything, keeping our kosher food practices. And they took idols and other depraved behavior and put it in the middle of the Holy of Holies, where Abraham was nearly, if you know the story of the binding of Isaac, took place right there. They went and said, we are in charge and you cannot follow your religion. And basically there was a small group of proud, brave Jews who said, we're not going to take that, called the Maccabees, the Maccabee family, led by Judah Maccabee, who went and said, we are going to fight back. And the famous story comes to, why do we have this special menorah, this special lamp? Because there was a lamp very similar to this. And those that have listened, maybe studied the Bible before, you look in the book of Leviticus, when we prayed in the temple in Jerusalem, in the Holy of Holies, and we offered sacrifices there, we needed extra light. And so there was only 6 of these and one in the middle. These ones in the end were not there. It was a 6-pronged Hanukkah lamp, and it was used to do the sacrifices. But why do we have 8 today? Well, according to the story of Hanukkah, when we eventually won the war, we eventually took back our land, we eventually took back our temple, there was only 1 canister of oil remaining available to light our menorah, our lights for the temple worship. But that 1 canister, with a miracle of God, that's where the story comes from, it lasted for an entire 8 nights. So therefore, why do we have 8 nights of Hanukkah? Because we remember that on the first night, we found 1 little canister, but it lasted for 8. And our job is therefore to honor the fact that there is hope, even in difficult times, that we can find oil, and that sometimes just a little bit of oil, a little engine, can carry a big train and take us all the way. Things we can't even imagine are possible. Miracles can happen. And the specific commandment of Hanukkah, different than almost every other practice in Judaism. Why is it that so many Americans or worldwide Gentiles know of the Hanukkah holiday, aside from Hallmark and good marketing? Okay, why do so many know? Because it's the one where it's a commandment. It's called a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to take your Hanukkah lights every night, to light them when it's dark outside in the darkest time of the year, and put light in the window to let it be seen by everyone, not just for the Jewish community, but for the world, that in a time of darkness, of sadness, of trial, of struggle, we put light in the window. Now, what's the sad reality, friends? People in my synagogue, Beth Meyer, the oldest synagogue in Raleigh and one of the oldest in North Carolina. Our synagogue started in 1875. Not it's in the current location, but its current location on East Street, the old location, 1875. Is that when a Jewish family decides to put this in the window, as beautiful as it looks, and the fact that the vast majority of Raleigheites and North Carolinians look at that with beauty and love and appreciate lights. I'm familiar, I think there's actually another holiday around this time where lights are also put out, right? It adds the beauty. But some congregants have said to me, one in particular came to me and said, Rabbi, I'm afraid to put my menorah in the window. I'm afraid this is not a sign of hope and miracles and God's presence. I'm afraid that's a bullseye. There's where a Jew lives. Because sadly, we know it's a very small sliver of people. It is. We know it is. The vast majority of Americans, good-hearted, faithful, service-focused Americans, see everyone as made in their image, made in the image of God, would never harm a person, God forbid, who's Jewish or of any other difference. But there is a sliver. For example, a few years ago when a gunman went into a synagogue called the Tree of Life Synagogue and murdered 11 Jews including in that building that day, included, was Rabbi Jonathan Perlman. Rabbi Jonathan Perlman served Beth Meyer's pulpit in Raleigh and was in the building that day when the gunman came in saying, I want to kill as many Jews as I can. And he heard, as one man went out to see what's happening, and heard the gunshot and the man fall on the ground. He huddled a group of worshipers, seniors, children, into a storage closet to hide them, hushing them until the police came to finally catch the perpetrator. Even at Beth Meyer Synagogue in North Raleigh, before October 7th, and I'll get to that, we received 3 bomb threats at our synagogue. You know, as I was coming in today to find exactly the entrance to this part of the church, I've been in other parts of the church, I noticed that I pulled on some of the doors and they were locked. Sadly, that's the reality of what we need to do today. And even of houses of worship, we need to lock unnecessary doors for safety, no matter what your religious practice is. But you know what the difference is between this meeting here and what happens at my synagogue? If we had this many people at my synagogue for a meeting, a gathering, a celebration, a prayer service, we'd have an armed police officer outside. That's the state of Raleigh Jewish community today, sadly. I can only describe to you what it was like one service to look out into the parking lot when the bomb threat occurred and to see the Raleigh PD SWAT team in full regalia in an armored car coming in safely. God bless the RPD. They've been fantastic. They are absolutely our blessing. But can you imagine the feeling amongst congregants, Holocaust survivors, families with young children? And then October 7th happens. I'll simply say that after October 7th happened, which I think it goes without saying, was a massacre, that it was the greatest, most horrific experience the Jewish communities had since the Holocaust. When I went to Israel, I visited specific places in southern Israel, as I mentioned. One in particular, a kibbutz, which is a kind of small rural community, agricultural community primarily, farming takes place there. I'm just going to give you one story because our time is limited, because the story is also covered by CBS News nationally. In one particular house, they brought us to see 15 American rabbis. We went to visit with injured soldiers. We went to go bring some supplies actually to Israelis. We went to give support. We prayed with people. People were so touched by us coming in the middle of a war to show our love and support. And before I say anything else, let me be absolutely clear. This war is not with your regular, average, innocent Palestinian. We in the Jewish community, as they say, 2 Jews, 3 opinions, okay? We have a lot of opinions about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And full disclosure, I am no fan of Prime Minister Netanyahu as a general political statement. But that's irrelevant here. We are at war. We were massacred. Babies are being held hostage. With this man who took us around this community, he told us one story. I'll just tell one. In this one house, we saw a beautiful home, small home. It was burned out, riddled with bullet holes. Half of it was collapsed. You could see the safety room, if you all have learned about this. Safety room is not a room where you lock the door and you protect from terrorists. Safety room is because of rockets. So the door is meant to be easily open and closed. In this one particular house, the Berdashevsky house, the parents, husband and wife, had twin 10-month-old babies. They took their kids when they realized their babies into the safe room, and they hovered over them. But the babies began to cry. They waited. They were trying to hide. They heard outside terrorists, shooting, fire. Arabic that they didn't, they knew a little bit of Arabic. They're in Israel, but they knew it was Hamas terrorists. They heard screams. The babies started to cry. They tried to hush them. They're 10 months old. The mom said, I'm just going to go out and get them some formula, and then I'll rush back in. The husband stayed with the kids. Gives me chills telling you. We saw in the kitchen, the terrorists came in and killed her point blank. They then came in for the husband, grabbed at the door. He's holding it on the other side because it does not lock. He's holding it. His 10-month twins are behind him crying. Eventually he says, my only shot is he's in Israel, plenty of people had arms, but not everyone is given a gun. He didn't have one available at that moment. Even if he did, at best he had a pistol. They had fully automatic machine guns. He threw open the door and ran at him. They killed him immediately. Now, what you might have expected is they go to these babies, kill them, maim them, perhaps they're hostages. Do you know what depraved act they did? They left them there. They left them there in their own diapers, no food, no water, no milk, no parents. And after a few minutes, what did the babies do? They started to cry. A little whimper, a little louder. They started to wail in that squeaky voice that babies do. You know why the terrorists let them do that? Because people on the kibbutz began to hear the babies crying. They're sitting in their houses scared. They know terrorists are out there, but they hear the Berdajevsky twins are crying. So one by one, mostly men, some of them armed with just a pistol, ran out of their houses to go get them. And you know what the terrorists did? May their names be put in the depths of hell. They stood on the roof, and every time a man came out to save those babies, they shot him cold dead. This is evil incarnate. Evil incarnate. Is that every single Palestinian? Absolutely not. Hamas is doing disgusting, depraved, immoral actions to innocent Palestinians too. But Hamas. So what happens? Back here in North Carolina, and I hate to say this because this is not to make fun of UNC because I am a Terp, okay? But at UNC there were protests. Did you follow? There was a group that got on the steps of a major center at UNC. I don't want to say it wrong, so I won't declare it because I don't know UNC as well as I know my alma mater. But they put up signs chanting, "We are Hamas." I want to think that these, what's that line from the New Testament? Forgive them, Lord, for they do not know what they say, and don't know what they do. I want to have compassion on these students. I have to imagine they don't understand what Hamas is. I have to think that they just are uneducated and ignorant. That any human being, whatever your position on the conflict, would never condone or stand in solidarity with terrorists who rape, gang rape innocent women, maim babies in front of their parents, then kill them all. I can't imagine that's the case. That Scarborough City Council, if you followed, passed a resolution. Hope you all saw this. If not, Google it. The resolution they passed, supposedly the top headline, calling for a ceasefire. Who doesn't want a ceasefire? Believe me, I want a ceasefire. Every member of the Jewish community wants a ceasefire. We don't want war. Read the details. Every single part. No mention of hostages. No mention of massacre. No mention of Hamas or condemnation. No mention of rapes, no mention of babies, nothing. A ceasefire that says, Israel, stop. We in the Jewish community have learned since the Hanukkah holiday that we just can't sit back and take it, guys. That's not how it's going to be. We are not going to be sheep to the slaughter. That's not how it's going to be. So while I'm deeply troubled by this sliver, both on the right and on the left, who sadly attack the Jewish community. And let's be clear. The Friday after October 7th, I recognize all of you may not follow this as closely as we do in the Jewish community. We follow this like it's hard to say how we follow it so closely. They called for a day of rage. Hamas did, called Day of Rage. They said, Hamas, this day of rage and attacks is not just against Israelis. And remember, the ones who were killed, the 1,400 and 240 hostages, now it's down to about 180, 170. They're not just Jewish Israelis. They're Israeli Arabs. There were people from Russia, Thailand, Nepal, Tanzania, many Gentiles. Many people who are not Jewish are part of this horrible attack. Hamas said, we're calling for a day of rage against every Jewish community in the world. That Friday at my preschool, I had parents, especially mothers, who were apoplectic. They felt like Hamas and her supporters throughout the world, if I can call it that, God forbid, were coming right up to North Raleigh. Thankfully, it didn't happen, but that's the feeling. We in the Jewish community this Hanukkah are going through a hard time, and I'll come back to the connection in a second. I've given you much of the bad news. Let me give you a little piece of the good news. Check out this story. Only in North Carolina, thank God. Only in Eastern North Carolina, thank God. There's a holiday we have in the Jewish tradition. It's like Hanukkah in that it's a very kind of fun, frolicky, joyful holiday called Purim. We read the book of Esther. Y'all maybe familiar with the book of Esther? It's a story about the queen. She saves the Jewish community from getting attacked. It's a farce. It's a cute story. It's funny in some ways. It's also violent, but it's a funny story. It's in the back of the Bible, Hebrew Bible. It's a tradition to get dressed up like the main characters in the story. Esther, Mordecai, the king, etc. And every year I go shopping and I buy a costume or rent a costume for the holiday, mainly for the kids. It's fun. Action heroes, all the stuff you might see on Halloween. It's a blast. Kids love it. There's one store in Raleigh for many, many years called Huey and Louie's. I don't know if you guys know it, off Glenwood. Used to rent out the costumes. She sold it, the owner, Louie, a couple of years ago, so now it's changed terms. But the woman there, since I've been here almost 20 years, became a good relationship. A person of service, person of love. She's from East North Carolina, from Elm City. And she'd drive in every day or every couple of days to sell, do the renting. I hadn't seen her for a couple of years. COVID, she sold the store. When she heard about these bomb threats, anti-Semitic flyers, if you've been following this in neighborhoods, there have been some swastikas, and then October 7th, she got scared. She's a very religious person. She knows me, and so she called me on my cell phone, which she still had. Now, I'll be honest with you, I got a call from a person a couple of years ago, an old friend, a college acquaintance. I'm a pretty busy rabbi. Like we had a lot going on. The last thing I need is the little schmoozing with a person who I knew from Elm City. But I care about her and I wanted to get back to her, so it took me a little bit. When I got back, when I called her, it's probably the most important phone call I've had all year. Because what did she say? She said, Rabbi, I know you're busy. And I can't even do her accent, okay? It's a real authentic East North Carolina accent. But I live on a farm. I told you, we own a farm. We got so many acres. We got a barn and a big house. And my kids are already graduated. They're moved on in their lives. They're not home they come home to visit, but they're not here. We got bedrooms. I imagine that people in the synagogue are scared. And I swore to myself, ever since I learned about the Holocaust and read about Anne Frank, that if I ever thought that Jews were in danger, I would hide them. And she said, Rabbi, you don't even have to call. Just come on down. We're here for you. Brought tears to my eyes. Kind of bring tears to me, and I'm telling you it right now. Now, what I told her was, in addition to gratitude, I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we'll ever be there yet, because we are the United States of America. This will not happen, not just on the watch of the Jewish community, but of good people, of good heart and good faith who believe in the highest ideals of this country. I believe, even with our challenges, they would never let any people, let alone the Jewish people, God forbid, go like 1939. So I said, take a deep breath. But I appreciate what she said and what she did. She showed the greatness of America, the greatness of North Carolina, and the greatness of our Eastern North Carolina, that people of goodwill and good faith and good service will look out for each other. And that is the greatness of this country. That is the miracle and blessing of why I am so proud, of many reasons, to be an American. In fact, I've called her the Elm City Angel. Elm City Angel. So let me wrap up with this. This is a tough time. Hanukkah is a holiday about miracles and light and darkness, a time where my people was attacked and decimated. We'll call it anti-Semitic Greeks said you can't be Jewish. And today, not all, not all, but some on both sides, the crazies on both sides, are echoing some of the same junk and trash and unholy stuff again. And my people are deciding, 2,100 years later, is it safe to put this in the window? Is this 1939? God forbid, no. What I told them is if we don't put this in the window, then we're letting the anti-Semites win. If we don't put this in the window, then we're letting Hamas win, God forbid. We must put this in the window, because I know not only will we, but I know that righteous Gentiles want us to put it in the window too. The America we want to live in wants Hanukkah menorahs in the window. Proud, unafraid. And that leads me to my last story, my favorite Hanukkah stories. A rabbi named Hugo Grin survived the Holocaust, a British rabbi. And when he was in, sadly, the camps with his father in Auschwitz, he was about 13, 14 years old with his father. You can imagine all the horror of being in Auschwitz, a place of ultimate death. Hanukkah came. They did not have a Hanukkah menorah. Most Jews could not spend time, energy, resources on worrying about the holiday. But Hugo Grin's father did. In a famous story that Hugo Grin wrote about in his diary, his father traded in his very basic rations, like a potato, some morsels of bread, rusty, with some soup that's like water, with a SS guard to get a few wicks and some matches and a little bit of oil. And he was going to light a Hanukkah candle, just one, every single night of Hanukkah in his room, like the place where they slept. And when Hugo Grin found this out about his father, he was 13, 14 years old, he said, Dad, what are you doing? You're going to get us killed. First of all, you need that to eat. You should not, the most important thing in Judaism is choosing life. You must live. Second of all, practicing Judaism or in the camps, they'll kill you if they see it. And Hugo Grin's father turned to him in a famous moment that rings to this day, and I've told it to my congregation still to this day, and I will tell it again this Hanukkah. He said, son, we know from science that you can live 3 weeks without food. You can live 3 days without water. You cannot live 3 minutes without hope. And he lit the Hanukkah menorah right in front of his son. Hanukkah is about hope. Hanukkah is about when things are terrible and dark and it looks like there's no chance. Miracles can happen. Thank you for letting me come tell you these stories. You are now a witness to Hanukkah. I invite you to go out into your communities and the good work you do in Kiwanis to let everyone know the Jewish people will be putting their Hanukkah menorahs in the window because we believe in hope. You believe in hope. And together, our hope and our faith and our love and our belief will defeat all the haters beyond anyone's possible imagination. Am Yisrael Chai, the Jewish people lives. I wish all of you a wonderful holiday season, and I thank you so much for the honor of being here at the Kiwanis Club today.
Rabbi, we're going to get you to sign this book that we give to the local library. You'll take it down there with you. And if you have any questions for the rabbi, he's going to be here for just a few minutes. We're going to do the resolution next time just because we're out of time now. But thank you all for being with us. I'm looking for the bell. There it is on the floor. I had hope. I knew it would be there. We have an apron for the new member back there. If you'll sign it on your way out. Take care. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.